virtual events. Still glad that there are still people participating and being a part of our journey. Brands for Good, as many of you know, it's a campaign that we've been running for 3 years already. We have an online WhatsApp chat group, which you can see on screen. It's our third Brands for Good WhatsApp chat group. So if you are already in our chat groups, you don't have to join, because I mean, we try and save space for others to be a part of it. But if you haven't, do join us in our chat so that we can keep you updated on our events and then upcoming activities as well. So we will start shortly. I think give us another 1 or 2 minutes for those who are a little late, and then we can continue. We don't have pipe-in music. Firas, have we figured out how to do pipe-in music yet? Okay, guess not quite. Okay. Right. Hey, Jason.
Hi. Yes.
Okay. Since you're here, I might as well pick someone to try and chat with. How's the situation in Cambodia?
Cambodia right now is they are just exited from this lockdown, right? So there's still a rise in the cases, but the people there are vaccinated very, very much faster than the way we are vaccinated in Singapore.
Really?
Yes. Right, because the Chinese government has been donating a lot of Sinovac, Sinopharm vaccinations to the Cambodian people, you see. Yeah, so I think almost all of my friends are vaccinated now, except me.
Oh. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow, so interesting.
Yes. Very fast. The way they are vaccinating is like, wow, very fast. And I think I want to open up their markets very, very soon.
We're not too bad. I think Singapore vaccination numbers are 50% already. From what I remember, I read the last report.
Jason, are you based in Singapore or in Cambodia?
I'm currently in Singapore.
Okay. You are too young to be vaccinated. You're not too young to be prioritized because you're not in school.
I reveal my age to you guys. Yeah. So I'll be having my vaccinations another, I think about 4 more days. 4 more days to go. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. 4 more days. Okay. Soon. Are you taking Pfizer?
Yeah, I'm taking Pfizer.
Cambodia accept Pfizer.
They also have Pfizer. That's why I was contemplating whether to take Sinovac only, just to go into Cambodia. But I checked with my friends in the ministry. They said that the Prime Minister is not vaccinated with Sinovac. So I think he has taken the Pfizer, right? Yeah. So generally, I think there won't be any political vaccination preference right now. It's open for all. Yeah.
I'm still trying to find out whether I can go for Sinovac and National Insurance will cover me.
No, they said no. They said
yeah. Very unfair, you know. Because nobody is able to give me a confirmation that I will not react badly a bit with Pfizer and Moderna, because I am allergic to some over-the-counter cold tablets. I got actually fainted and have to send in an ambulance just taking Studofed.
Wow.
So cold tablets, you know. So it's like, if nobody can give me the assurance, I feel like it's not fair to go for something like that, right? So I'm still in a dilemma. Maybe some expert can help me. Yeah, give me your 2 cent worth.
Well, I don't know whether there's insurance for people on these issues. Yeah, but I think the Sinovac vaccination, we are taking it based on our own discretions, the risk. Yeah. But I heard it's today news was reporting $10 to $25, right, for each jet. Yeah.
I think that is testing kit.
Yeah.
The testing kit, self-testing kit is $10 to $20.
Yeah.
Okay, it's 2:07 already. I think we should start. Thank you all and everyone for coming today and being a part of our 6 info sessions for the year and our 21st since COVID hit, as I shared a little earlier on. Today we have sort of the privilege of having Jason to join us. Jason's got a brand new startup, I suppose Beastmaker, but he's certainly not new to business matching. For those of you who were with us last year, Jason as well presented on Cambodia and his market entry. He's been there for 5 years already. I sort of had I might share this story to anyone who's willing to hear me out. This young looking man, wouldn't say young man, right, Thomas? Young looking man actually packed up his bag and moved to Cambodia 5 years ago because there wasn't opportunity here and decided to explore what he could do in Cambodia. And he has I'll let him share his own accolades a little later, what he's been doing there and all that. And now, but beyond just Cambodia, now he's expanded to do business matching for Philippines, Vietnam, and a few other spaces in ASEAN as well. And we're quite excited about his space. Before we begin, I would like to sort of invite Esther. Esther is the president of the International IP Commercialization Council Singapore. She's also the co-chair for Brands for Good this year, together with Alan. Alan is from iPaw Society. Alan, are you there? You want to say hi? Okay, there.
Yes. Yeah. Hi, everyone.
So, Alan, in case I know for those of you who are sort of regular, you've seen Alan speak around, but this time around, I thought we give you a prettier face, and we'll have Esther to sort of share a little bit about Brands for Good. Okay, so I will now hand the mic over to Esther to share a little bit about Brands for Good.
Okay, hello everyone.
Hello.
Okay, let me do this. All right. So for those of you who have probably joined us a few times and heard of this umpteen times, just bear with us. Okay, we'll go through very quickly. For those of you who are new to us, I'll be just sharing the background of how we came about and what we stand for and what you can do to benefit your company by joining us, and also how you can come on board with us on this journey to help us spread the awareness and to continue to engage with the things that we are doing. So just to give you a brief background, can somebody also help me to time myself, just in case? Glenn?
Can.
I don't have a timer, but I will go as quickly and brief as I can, so that to allow the other speakers time. So the founding partners, as I think Glenn has briefly mentioned, we have a few of us that sort of came together and so founded what we call today the Brands for Good. We have iPaw Society. Alan was from the founding president of iPaw Society, myself from IPCC, and obviously we have our sponsor Maybank. Without them, we could not have pull through the last 3 years without funding. So really thank you, Maybank, for joining with us from the very beginning, and the fact that they are continuing to support us, we are very grateful. And of course, we have CEO Asia, it's run by Glenn, that is really truly the backbone of what we do here at Brands for Good. So it was forged by a common vision. We all came together and said, this is a great idea, let's do it. And today, Brands for Good, we are already a non-profit organization registered in Singapore. And over the last 3 years of our effort, we have over 300 SMEs involved, right, in positive impact enterprise across Singapore and Southeast Asia. And of course, along the years as well, we have increased our partnerships. So we have also signed on with ASEAN CSR, headed by Thomas, who's also in this call. And we wanted to bridge and extend our influence, not just in Singapore, but also to look in the ASEAN level. And that's why we sign up with ASEAN CSR Network. And so what ARriba stands for is ARriba has the vision to create and that future that we're working towards is a world where businesses do well and by doing good. So they also have a charter of, best practices of how business can be a responsible and inclusive business. So with their reach, and last year as well, which I'll share with you, we did a conference with them where we invited people from all across ASEAN and of course distinguished speakers as well to share about what the businesses are doing on this front in relation to how they can promote their own charter internally and things like that, and what they can do as businesses to be responsible and inclusive. So this is just the team that are behind all that you see and run for Brands for Good, because without a team, we cannot go far. So thank you to the team members that have painstakingly supported the cause. So what is the big idea? Basically, what we stand for is we want to promote intellectual property for humanitarian good. So intellectual property, we want to combine it with business. So some people just think of intellectual property as, something that's very complicated, a law, but what we want to see actually is, brands are also intellectual property. What you have, your technology, your assets, what you have, combining it with the business mindset, how you can actually use it and derive a positive angle and impact from the intellectual property. So that is the message that we are promoting to all our SMEs, to not only just think of business strategies, but also think of how they can maximize value for their IP and at the same time do profit for good. I won't go through this, but this is what we call a broad ESG framework, whereby they are broken up into 3 categories that we actually looked at and we actually heavily support, which is the environmental, social, and governance. And if you can see, a lot of our categories for nomination for Brands for Good are built on some of these frameworks. So you can definitely pick and choose some of some of these frameworks that you can sort of see if your company can qualify for. And choose the appropriate category for you to nominate yourself. Right, Brands for Good serves to inspire every business to become a purposeful brand. And we have 3 missions. 1 is to help good brands differentiate effectively and create transformative value by their intangible assets to make waves with ASEAN Brands for Good stories, so as to inspire the world, hence the cooperation with ASEAN CSR, and to also build a global community of responsible and inclusive business. So moving forward to our 4 C's proposition, these are the propositions that we bring forth to our community. 1 is competencies. We want to raise competencies of businesses that have the courage to change. 2nd is to build community. 3rd is to seek and support impact investments within the region, so raise capital. And 4th, to actually recognize and raise champions for good. So as I mentioned, competencies, how are we going to support this? The founding organizations, we don't just have the right people, we also have the right expertise. So for example, I myself have bring together the IP knowledge that a lot of businesses have and need. We have in our community people who are in the brand space, and people like Jason today is going to share with you guys his expertise in Cambodia and things like that. So these are the competencies that we try to bring about in order for all our businesses to benefit from such knowledge. Then of course we have community. I've already mentioned ARriba, and these are some of the other enterprises and non-profit organizations that we partner with together, and we support their events as well, and so on and so forth. Then the 3rd one is capital. This is in the works, and we are also working with our partners to set up a MAS licensed Brands for Good Impact Fund. And so these are some of the partners that we are looking to work with, so that they can gather interest, and then to search for businesses that they want to support that actually have a positive impact. So instead of going out there to search, right, we already have a ready pool of companies that they can actually tap into, and they can actually look, and if there is synergy, it is also good publicity for our winners in that sense. And then 4th, to raise champions. So these are some of our past champion winners, and each of them definitely is leading, the steps in what they are doing. And I think some of these winners who we have highlighted from the past, like 2 or 3 years, now they have, some of them have gone to become poster boys of a lot of other matters, and then they have received a lot of publicity, which was really also good for them, to highlight their stories. Well, this was our Brands for Good conference that we did last year together with ARriba, and also the virtual handing of the awards for our winners. Obviously, we see that we have Mr. Edwin Tong as our guest of honor, and also we had Sim Ann also to as our guest of honor to also participate in our conference and also our award giving ceremony. Usually we would have our gala dinner, but last year due to the lockdown, we did what we can, and it was also received well in that sense. So this is some of the activities also that we are doing within the community, dialogues, and this was our launch earlier this year, and some of our other activities that we have done in the past when COVID, there was no lockdown and everybody could still come together. So you can also find all this information if you need to on our website. So how can you actually join us to support us? I think this is really important. One, nominate yourself. If you see that you have a category or positive impact that you can play in, and there is a room for nomination, you can take a look at our categories on our website. And it's only a small fee to join. But then I think the benefits of the community is much more outweigh whatever that you're going to pay. So secondly, also we are looking for more sponsorships. Definitely we want to continue the good work, and we would definitely need your support funding wise. So if not, also we'll be grateful if you can introduce us to people who would be willing to fund such cause. Thirdly, investments. If you are an investor yourself, or angel investors, or you are connected to anybody who are in the fund space, please do connect us. We would love to also bring them on this journey with us. Number 4, we have partnerships. We also work with other associations, as I already mentioned, and so we are also constantly looking out for other partners that we can join to expand our capabilities. 5th, community leadership. We are always seeking volunteers to help. So if you think that this is something that will benefit and you would like to extend your helping hand, please talk to Glenn or any one of us on team. All right, so this is our YouTube page. You can search us on Brands for Good and take a look at some of the videos that we have made in the past, which is quite heartwarming, I would say. And then also follow us on our Instagram and LinkedIn. So that's the end of my presentation. And again, I think nominations are open. Please do pass the word around. And we are looking forward to welcoming the nominations this year. What is different this year is that if you nominate yourself, you are going to, the award will last you actually for 2 years, which is 2021 and 2022. And there are definitely a lot of benefits. You can actually speak to any of our past winners. They can testify, and they've even some of them have came back to renominate themselves for year on year. And so we're really, really grateful for those who have been supporting us for the past years. With that, I would now pass the time back to Glenn.
Right. Hey, thanks, Esther. And yes, Esther has also sort of given out the caveat that this year our nomination is for 2 years. Why 2 years? It's Brands for Good 2021/2022, right? It's because from a marketing point of view, we recognize that the people participate in Brands for Good because they want the brand as an endorsement for the good work that they have done, and we want to take the year ahead, right? So hence next year it will be Brands for Good 2023, so that that you carry the label, because you only get awarded at the end of the year, right, after the whole campaign. And then once you get awarded, you want the year to reflect the year that you're marketing as well. So hence the change, and this year is of course a transition year. Okay, so I'm going to sort of pass the mic now to Maybank, our partner and sponsor, who has been with us, as Esther said, for the last 3 years. Hermut, are you sort of ready?
Yes, thanks, Glenn.
Right.
Give me a minute. me, Glenn?
All good.
Oh, good. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Helmut. I'm from Maybank SME Banking. I lead the business development team in Maybank SME Banking. So yeah, like what Esther said, the nomination fee. Yeah. So if you happen to be a Maybank customer, good news, you get 50% off the nomination fee. Yeah. So hopefully you're your Maybank customer if you intend to sign up for this one. If not, no problem. Just contact us. Before you sign up for these, Brands for Goods, let's be your customer first. Okay. So, yeah. So for those of you who are not familiar with Maybank, Maybank actually is the 4th largest bank in Southeast Asia. We have presence in all 10 ASEAN countries. In fact, we are the only bank that has presence in all 10 ASEAN countries. Then our main markets are in Malaysia, Singapore, and Indonesia. Then in Singapore itself, we actually have 2,000 Maybankers ready to serve you. And we have 18 branches all over Singapore. Yep. So the reason why we are back here is that whatever Brands for Good is doing is very much resonates our missions, which is one you see at the bottom, humanizing financial services. So we are glad to be back again. After 3 years now, this is the 4th year. Yep. So Maybank, we try to empower our customers and our in Singapore context the charities lah, because we realize that during this COVID period a lot of people are affected. SMEs are affected too, definitely, but government is trying to help them with a lot of grants and other things. But we realize that charities are also one part of the pictures that that need help. So in this case, Maybank actually launched this Maybank Momentum Grant. This is the first of its kind, recyclable grant. So for this one, the charities that's affected can apply for a so-called finance or grant up to 150,000. Yeah. Then there will also be the strategy master classes and one-on-one consultation sessions to help the charities to build stronger sustainability. At the same time, Maybank also offer this special banking package for the charities with preferential rates. Yeah. So if any of you is interested, feel free to reach out to us. But but there's some requirements as you see at the bottom. It has to be like no local-based operations, maximum of 1 million total operating expenditure with less than 1 year cash reserve, all these things lah. Yeah. Maybe also work with Enterprise Singapore to provide financings to our local SMEs. So these are some of the facilities that we have: SME working capital loan, WCL, temporary bridging loan, TBL, as well as trade loan. Yeah. For WCL, is maximum cap at 300,000. Is mainly for working capital purpose. The requirement is that it has to be registered and operating in Singapore with at least 30% local shareholding. Yeah. Then we have another type is called a temporary bridging loan. So for this one, the maximum loan is 3 million. Bridging loan and working capital loan, they are pretty similar, but just that for temporary bridging loan is mainly for SME that is affected by COVID. And that's why this program will be ending on 30th September 2021. Same requirement as WCL. So let's say, for example, if your business involves importing and exporting of goods, then maybe this one is for you, EFS trade loans. Yeah. Again, same basic requirements, register operating in Singapore, at least 30% local shareholding. On top of those working capital financing, we also provide commercial industrial property financings. Yeah. So for this one, you can lend up to maximum of 90%. Yeah, depending on some risk rate. Yeah. Other than loans, we also provide other facilities, non-loan facilities, such as like very good like FX rates, investment, or even insurance. Yeah. So if you need any, like let's say general insurance or anything, feel free to reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to help you with that. Yeah. Or even FX. Yeah. Yeah. So basically, these are the contact details of the team. My name is Helmut. Yeah. Feel free to reach out to any one of us here. Yeah, I think that's all for today. Let me pass it back to Glenn. Thanks, Glenn.
All right, thank you, Helmut, and appreciate the sharing. Okay, so next on our line, a very quick one will be to Thomas, and Thomas, as today's event is also about ASEAN and about market entry, our partnership with ASEAN CSR Network in the ARriba, the ASEAN Responsible and Inclusive Business Alliance, is with Thomas, and I have the pleasure of having Thomas here today to share a little bit about ARriba. Thomas.
Okay. Thank you, Glenn. And I'll be quite brief because I have to thank Esther, who has done a very good job in putting our relationship in the right context. Can you see my slides? Yeah, okay. ARriba stands for ASEAN Responsible Inclusive Business Alliance. It is an initiative with both the ASEAN CSR Network, which I represent, and the ASEAN Business Advisory Council. So it's open to businesses, and it is meant to promote this responsible, inclusive business. There are many reasons for it, but I want to say that there is a global pressure for companies to contribute to well-being of society. You can see about climate change challenge. You can talk about supply chain, forces against forced labor, unfair treatment, environmental stewardship, governance, etc., anti-corruption, etc. So it's also becoming part of business because supply chains of big companies want to make sure that there are no scandals in their framework, and it normally affects the smaller guys. So we are also here basically to help everybody to pick up. The awards as a recognition at a point in time, and the ARriba is going to be a tool to help you in your journey now and moving forward. So what we have done is we have said, look, if you're responsible, inclusive, what are some values you must have, universal values? This is tied to many of those things. Accountability, transparency, ethical behavior, respect for stakeholder interests, more than just shareholders, respect for the rule of law, respect for international norms of behavior, and to treat people with respect, dignity, and fairness. Some people call it human rights. But these are values, principles that you go through. And if you don't have these principles, it's very hard. Then we have a list of subject areas that we want to do. The most important is governance, environment, labor, anti-corruption, human rights, consumer protection, and community involvement. These are also tied to the sustainable development goals that we have. So we're just trying to help ASEAN businesses to be part of this big enterprise. So together with Brands for Good, we are hoping that all the Brands for Good awardees will carry on the journey and be part of this. And we're also working on helping these companies to reach different levels. So this is a journey, the end of the day is sustainability, sustainable development, but the journey towards sustainable development, sustainability is a long one, and it's not so hard, difficult. So these are the objectives. I'm not going through the whole thing, but I just want to say quite clearly that we think also one of the things that we want to do is we want to influence purchasing people, because at the present moment, a lot of in the supply chain, they impose a lot of conditions on the suppliers. But if the purchasing people, procurement people take into account many of these good habits and also treat people fairly, pay a fair price, pay on time, it helps businesses to thrive. So this is one. We're also hoping to work with investors as well as we're working with ASEAN and many. Last Friday, there was a whole ASEAN entities event, and a lot of people spoke up for responsible, inclusive business, for CSR, and was telling the government they should do more and better. So on this note, I also would like to encourage you all to join. The website is www.arriba.org. Please join. And offline or online, please talk to any one of us, Glenn, Esther, Alan, myself, anybody. We're all open to hearing from you. And on that note, because I know I'm not the star, we're all waiting to hear from Jason. Thank you for the attention. And please, if you want to join, please join us. Thank you very much. I'm finished, Alan. Okay. Over to you.
All right, thank you, Thomas, and thank you all for your patience and time. And I think we are sort of ready to go into the main meet. As earlier on I shared, Jason has been someone that I've known for the last 3 years. We've met when actually we went over to Cambodia, or myself personally went up to Cambodia to try and consider Cambodia as a market or as opportunities there. In fact, we did go into a business in Cambodia. Obviously, with COVID, it's been quite challenging for us because we didn't bring in a new business there. We actually acquired something there. But however, Jason, having met him not just here but there as well, and seen what he has done and set up there, we've been a lot familiar with what he's been doing, and he's been really quite successful. One of my good friends that I sort of referred to Jason was from Ong and Ong Group, and Ong is a very large architectural firm, right? Who my contact was acquired. I mean, they were a subsidiary of Ong and Ong, and he was actually telling me, "Hey, I don't need to go Cambodia, or I don't need to use a service provider. My parent company, Ong and Ong, was already in Cambodia." He said, "You sure? I mean, how can Jason help?" I said, "Well, anyway, I arm twisted him basically as a friend, and then I said, go and give Jason a try, and he did. And within that first setup, of course, it's all funded and provided, supported by ESG, Enterprise Singapore. Within that first round of meetings, I think the first 10 meetings, my contact actually secured a $1 million contract with I don't know, is it a developer or yeah. So Jason has been an amazing contact in Cambodia. Of course, he's been quite successful in doing so. He's beyond Cambodia. He's now has expanded the business to now do Vietnam, Philippines, and a few other ASEAN countries. He's on a warpath to help businesses expand, and I hope that you guys will listen in to what he has to share today. Right. So over to you, Jason.
Thank you so much for the time and allowed me to share with you my story and what I'm doing in Cambodia. Right. Yeah, so let me just open up the share screen first. Okay. Right, so thanks, Brands for Good. Thanks to Glenn and the organizing committee, right, to bring this Emerge Stronger series on the opportunities in ASEAN Part 1 for this the SMEs in Singapore. Right, so the message that I want to send to all of you today is about these 3 words. It's called positioning for reopening. Right, so this is I know after some thoughts on what I'm going to share with all of you guys today, I think there's something that we can't get out from at this moment, which is obviously is the COVID situations, not only impacting the Singapore market, but it also impacted global markets, right? So no countries, is spared during this moment, right? But however, as we all know, that the sentiments is getting more and more positive, all right? And why is it so? Is because of the vaccination drive that's coming up for each of these countries, right? So, well, I mean, if there's a time that is going to be open up for the business traveling, it should be when a country has been vaccinated, right, for most of its populations, right? And being in Cambodia, right, I've been checking the news, what is happening. And one thing that surprised me is that the vaccination population is getting larger and larger, right? To the extent that we think that in Singapore we are the fastest, but no. In fact, Cambodia, right, is progressing at a much faster pace than what we have in today, right? So a lot of reasons being so is because of the fact that the Chinese government throughout these last 5 years has been increasing their foreign direct investments into this market, right? So a lot of their people needs to go back to Cambodia to build the highways, to build the new airport, right? To build railways to connect throughout the Indo-China region, where Cambodia is the integral part of this whole region with a geographical advantage being in the center, right? The neighbor is like on the right is Vietnam, on the left is Thailand, on the top is Laos, right? So so that is actually one of the reasons why Cambodia is progressing really fast, right? And to some of these people who has been following the news, all right, in fact, Cambodia is looking forward to reopen their market in Q4, right? And in sync with the Chinese vaccinations of the health certificate passport, all right, for their own nationalities to move and travel overseas, right? So I want to urge, right, every single SMEs to really believe that COVID is not a long-term situation. We are entering from pandemic to endemic, so it is very important to be positioned, right, for the reopening, right? So just a little bit of myself, right? I'm championing as the CEO of the Beastmaker Group. Okay, we focus primarily on the SMEs in Singapore to ASEAN markets, right? So I've also served as the founder and the principal consultant for a business incubation called SCBI. And I was also served as an executive director for Office Origin, a business incubator hub, co-working space and solution provider in Cambodia. So we have been in this line of business unofficially since 2016, but officially since 2017, right? And we are now growing, right? You know, to more places thanks to COVID, where digitalization through Zooms, teleconferencing can be done, right, in a much faster space. So our mission is that we do not aim to become the largest consulting firm, but we aim to become the largest lighthouse, right, for our SMEs, right? Because venturing overseas is really scary if you have no light in front of you, right? So there's a lot of uncertainties. There's a lot of gray clouds, you know, in front of you. There's a lot of raging waves, especially when you are going in the first time, right? And you may be a veteran in Singapore, but the moment you step into an overseas market, you are just like a baby, right? So in this case, we really want to become your lighthouse, right? To guide you through and to help you to stabilize and to find a safer way of conducting your business, right, with the maximum effective level, right? So our values is measured by your successes, our customer successes, right? So never did once we will benefit, right, from the failure of the customers. That is not our philosophy, all right? So our philosophy and our values is really based on the successes of our customers, all right? And our vision is to create economic opportunities throughout ASEAN markets that we are in. Currently, we are in Cambodia, and we have already entered into the Vietnamese market, and our consulting businesses has also entered into the Philippine markets as of recent, right? So we are looking to grow to even more countries in the markets, especially in ASEAN, over the next 1 year, right? And wow, so you can take a look at our space, right? So we are known to have the first Singapore-owned co-working space in Cambodia, right? You can take a look at this very beautiful office. It's a 5-floor building where we started this business somewhere in 2018, right? So this becomes a launch pad for our clients to enter into the market, where we can help to support them and to nurture them, to incubate them, right? To one day they are big enough to actually exit from our space here, right? So we are very happy when clients become too big that we are too small for them, right? So that is actually something that we are very proud of, right? To cater to facilitate the growth in these markets. And we have similar plans to set up offices like this in Philippines, as well as in the Vietnamese market, right? Okay, so just some case study for our clienteles, right? We do a lot of accelerated market entry projects, and our works are very intensive, right? So we explain to our clients that it is necessary to be intensive and necessary to be aggressive, right? And to get the speed up, right, within a very short period of time, is because you are not based in there, right? Every moment that you are there, you need to make use of your time, right? So we help them to to reduce their incubation period of to a very short period of, let's say, just 5 days. When they are with us, right, we actually jam-pack with them 20 over meetings with their targeted partners. And today, Ballarat is already in Cambodia, right, with a co-venture program that we have set up for them to grow in this market, right? So we have also another case study, right? This company is a 30 over years old company from Singapore focusing on HR, right? Their objective is primarily to do placement, right, into this market, right? And at the same time, they also have a very strong segment of their business to bring in domestic maids, right? So they are one of the biggest player when it comes to domestic maids from Myanmar and China, right? And they also provide to the nursing homes in Singapore as well, all right? So we have gotten them endorsements from universities, right, and partners as well. And eventually, we also assisted them to obtain the licensing to bring Cambodian workers to Singapore to work in the domestic industry as a domestic helper, right? So today they are still in the market, right? And we have, accelerated their market and not just to research, to survey, but it's as well as to land them into this market, right? So at the same time, we also have helped this company. This company is a very young company from Singapore. They are basically one of the SkillsFuture accredited company in Singapore. They can sell course to people and people can attend using their SkillsFuture credits, right? So there's a lot of them, all right? But this is one of the smaller ones from Singapore, right? So we have brought them into this market, all right? And through efforts to help them stabilize their positioning into this market, right? We did something that is pretty cool, right? So what we helped them is to set up a joint venture between the Cambodian Chamber of Commerce, all right? And this private dinner taken in December 2019 was one of our showcase where we have brought in an unknown, right, to become a known in Cambodia immediately, right? So this official endorsement is covered a few times on the national TV and the media, and at the same time, due to this profiling works being done and due to the strategy to leverage on the relationships of the Chamber of Commerce with all their business directories in Cambodia, they have secured a very big contract, right, with a conglomerate, right, in Cambodia, and that is their first client, right? So we are very proud to share all this success story, and at the same time, we have more success story to share to our SMEs, right? We have brought in small companies, right, and help them to quicken their pace and their speed into the market. And we have even helped a non-Singaporean company, which is one of the biggest universities in Malaysia, to set up their presence in Cambodia as well. So University Utara Malaysia is probably the biggest. I didn't know about them until I did more research that they have, I think, close to 20 over 1,000 students in Malaysia in their universities. All right, so they are like the NUS of Singapore in terms of the profiling. All right, we also have brought in brands like Gash, brands like MOT, which Ministry of Technologies on virtual reality workforce training provider company. All right, and at the same time, this photo on the right side hosted on the in 2018. All right, through the efforts with the Brands for Good team and CEO Asia, Glenn, Alan, Esther, all these people, we have successfully hosted incredible events with the Cambodian Chamber of Commerce during the ASEAN Summit when they came over to Singapore to attend the ASEAN Summit. So this is actually like a breakout room for them, all right, as a separate event for them. All right, so next, okay, so you can see from our past projects, we have brands like Nature Farms. We have brought them in within 3 days of their market entry. Their products is already listed in the pharmacies, right? All right, and we have Ong and Ong, as what Glenn said, they have gotten successes, right? And we also have one of Singapore's biggest boom lift equipment company by the name of ARriba. They have a very good entry in the market. We help them out with some very strong partners and connections, right? And they now have a factory in Cambodia. We also have women's health brands like Nomino, which is run by a team of MediaCorp artists, right? We also have done works for FMCG products company like Win2, which is called Win-Win, all right? So they are famous for their potato chips, and they are famous for their Himalayan salt sweet that you see everywhere in the market right now. Right now, they're doing like 6 containers a month to Cambodia, and it is a very big achievement for them. All right, and when we have brought them to other markets like Laos, on the first meeting, we have secured them 1 container into Laos as well, right? Because Laos and Cambodia is just neighbors to each other. We brought in brands like Apex Q, right? Brought in brands like Clans, right? Monsanto, Oscar, and Baleric as well. So in total, in this last 5 years, we have actually done more than 170 projects, right? As for a start. So time never stops. You need to keep growing to stay ahead. Please take the small steps, because if not, you will be going around the circle, right? So we try not to go around the circle. So we try to take small steps ahead. So how are you going to take up these small steps? And that is how I will be sharing with you next, right? All right. So the 5 phases to think about, all right? So firstly, you need to assess how ready are you, right, to go overseas. Right, and if you are ready to go overseas, you should be looking into researching first and surveying the market, and then we can come in to provide matching and partnerships, right, through our methodology, right, from our 5 years of on the ground experience overseas to help our clients to find the right match and find the right strategy to enter this market, right? So once you are in the market, you probably will need to develop your workforce, and at the same time, you need more support, right? As I mentioned, you may be an adult in the business world in Singapore, but if you were to go overseas, you really are like a baby. You do need support, right? You don't see baby go and find food to eat, so by themselves, all right? You don't see baby able to bathe by themselves or to take care of themselves. So you need to have at least decent support, right, to come in to help you for your expansion, right? So for market readiness, right, you need to understand about your capabilities, all right, and where you are able to make improvements, right? So example, if you talk about your capabilities, right? You have to look into your team, right? You look into your product nature, right? So is there any way your products and your team are ready to actually scale overseas, all right? If you are not, all right, what are the areas for improvements and what are the areas to plan ahead for your overseas activities, all right? And to increase your market knowledge by reading up or have a consult, have a coffee with me, so that I know how to provide you with an answer, right, to your questions, right? So, right. So these are all details that will be found in the playbook shortly after these sessions, all right? So it's for you to ponder, right? Which countries you want to expand abroad, and it's like what is the main reason? What are the main reasons for your expansion abroad as well, right? So one thing I like about the Cambodian market is that it is a very easy place for you to start something, right? Because there's no language barriers, there's no capital control. You can have 100% ownership of the entity in the market, right? And very business-friendly environments, as well as the dollar sign, US dollars, right, is the key trading currencies, right? So as we been looking into overseas, right? If you were to start off in Cambodia, you will tend to have an easier way when you go to the next one, right? Same as Philippines as well. Philippines has no language barrier with us, right? So Vietnam, you will find a lot more, right? So each country actually has its own plus and minus, right? So you need to also look into your company culture, right? Right. So all these things you can read through in your playbook, all right? And you look into your CapEx, OpEx, revenue, and profits, right? So I will not be spending too much time reading words, reading points here to you, but let me share with you about the Singapore businesses problems, right? Is that in Singapore, you need to make a reasonable amount of profit because your cost is very expensive, right? Your rental, your listing fee into supermarkets is very expensive, right? Your marketing cost is so expensive, and the most important part is your manpower cost is so expensive in Singapore, right? So that's why the price that you actually set in Singapore, all right, has to be evaluated, right? So usually 9 out of 10 companies that venture overseas, they will have to re-look into the way they price their selling price in the overseas market. Why? Because if you were to sell based on what you are selling in Singapore, especially in overseas, you will find yourself out of competitions, right? Why other people can sell cheaper than you in overseas is really because they know how to make use of the local resources, right? So in Singapore, we are pretty much covered, right? But in overseas, you need to understand that your manpower cost is so much cheaper, your rental is so much cheaper, right? So is there any way that you can do to reduce your selling price, all right, for reasonable profits? You will still make the same percentage of profits, right? But the thing is that your selling price is different, right? So good news for those who are manufacturing based, right? If any products that is going into this market of manufacturing in nature, right, you tend to see yourself having better successes, right? So please take note of this part, right, when you venture in overseas, right? Okay. So working environment as well, right? So if you do have a plan to groom your own employees for overseas expansions in the Southeast Asia region, please take note that there is currently a grant from the Singapore Business Federations on the PCP, focusing on Southeast Asia study, where you can cover you about 45% salary up to 18 months, right? So this will give your workers, your employees, a great sense of improvements in the way they carry their works, right? Because now they're engaging overseas market as well, right? So you need to find a way to you know, to increase the value of your workers as well in your company, right? So streamline, all right? So all these business models, systems, and processes, you also need to understand as well, right? So researching the market opportunities. Okay, one thing about the markets in overseas is that you may feel that your products can help them, right? Your products can work, all right? You feel that your product is something that can be moved, right? But a lot of times it is not the case, right? So it can be very different from what you are familiar with. So it's very important that you need to do some research and surveying. Need to do some samples checks, right? I mean, market samples checks to ensure that what you have in your hands is something that is on demand, right? When you bring this to overseas, right? So when you research in the overseas market, there's a few ways, all right? The first way is you engage a consultant, draw up a market research report for you, a statistics for you from the National Statistics Board of Cambodia, all right, or Philippines or Vietnam, get more information through the internet or whatsoever. But one thing about all these markets, like I just mentioned, is that they do not have a statistic table to show you that it's updated enough, right? So it's impossible to understand the market just based on paper, right? So what we have for you, right, through our years of experience is we prefer to engage direct with the business owners that you are wanting to speak to, you are interested to work with, right? It's because through all these dialogues, you get research informations on pricing, benchmarking, right? You get informations like your competitors and their buying behavior, their credit terms, and at the same time, you also get informations of the viability of your products entering into these markets, right? So you also get informations on the importing, custom requirements, and any registrations that needs to be required under the government laws as well, all right? So all this can be summed up through a dialogue-based market research, right? So never did once in our 5 years in operations did we have created any market research statistics report at all, right? But the results from the dialogue-based research has been fantastic, all right? And it satisfied the objective of the SMEs that is going in, okay? So all this research on regulation is when you decide to enter the market for business developments, right? And well, so basically you need to work with people that has networks, right? Okay. So business matching and partnerships. Basically, the business matching that we are talking about is not the type of business mission trips that that you follow associations to study a market, or you were to go into exhibitions to do choreograph business match during the exhibitions, right? So we don't really do that as well, right? So what we actually do is we actually provide a customized approach, right? So we don't serve a group of 30, we just serve a group of just your group, right? So we customize the business matching, right, to the criteria that you need to set for us, and we will bring them to you, right? So in all these countries that we have been working with, Cambodia, Vietnam, and Philippines, we have trade bodies that is actually working with us that extended their business directories for us, right? So that is why we can cover more places, we can cover more entities and industries, right? And so far it has really been eye-opening, right? The way how we conducted with the trade bodies, the government trade bodies to help our clients. So whenever we do our business matching, is usually on the G to G level, right? So you need to actually understand what you need, right? right? You need to find out more about what is next after you have done matching, locating a partner. What other things that you need to know? You need to know about business setup and incorporations. You need to know about legal services, HR recruitments, real estate brokers, customs, banking and finance, and tax accounting. So all these things, right, you will actually require somebody to assist you, to support you, to take up the baby step into this market, right? So, well, I mean, do you know anybody that can help you, right? If no, then there's somebody in front of you who can assist, right? So let us know if you need any help, right? So workforce deployment, you need to plan and start a lean workforce to jumpstart your overseas activities, right? So, well, I mean, as I mentioned, this is a playbook. I'll not be reading, but I will share with you from my experience. For your entry into an overseas market, the best shortcut that you need to take is to employ your competitor's salesperson, right? So that you do not have to go around the circle. You don't have to even send your Singaporean staff down at a cost of $6,000, $7,000 per month, right? Which is incredible high, right? So I can employ my competitor's salesman at maybe just $1,000 US, all right? And with the support from Enterprise Singapore, I can get it covered 60%, right, on the salary and also on the marketing office, right? So we are very strategic when it comes to workforce because my team is made up of people that we carefully selected, right, to arrive to where we are today, right? So similar to you, when you enter into this market, you need to understand who are your people that you want to hire, and we need to actually find the right person, right? So so this will be your strategy, right? When you go into an overseas market, if you are going into like one of my clients, he's dealing with mattress, right? So he's very smart, right? He said that he wants to hire competitors, salespeople, right? So, and he gotten 2 of them, right? So this is actually the best example of someone, right, that we need to learn from as well, all right, to enter into the overseas market. Instead of training people that are like $200, $300 per month, and after a few months later, they exited from the business and need to retrain another person, all right? Instead of you sending a Singaporean down to the market, paying an expat salary, which burn a big hole on your pocket, all right? I'd rather you do headhunting, right, on the right personnel in to join your force in overseas. So your cost is very important. Your operation cost is very important because you may be bleeding $1,000, $2,000 per month. You may find that it's all right, but 1 year time, you probably feel that how come I've lost 24,000 USD or 30,000 Sing, right? That's a kind of pain that you have to avoid, right? So that's the kind of structure that we also explain to our clients, that you need to turn around business after 1 year rather than the normal cycle of 2 years, all right, to see successes. So you need to so for this phase 5 of this presentations, right, about mentorship and co-venture, right? So, well, I mean, one thing that gives people a lot of confidence to expand to the overseas market is when they have a sense of collaborations, all right, in venturing together, all right, so that it can really increase your chances in succeeding in that market that you're going to, right? So one thing that we normally do is that we will take positions, all right, in promising businesses that wants to grow in the overseas market. We invest into them, we become their shareholders, and we help them to expand and co-venture together, all right? So at the same time, because when you go into this overseas market, there will be availabilities of venture capitalists that you can look for, all right? These people usually are the rich ones that sold away their lands to the Chinese, and they are overnight millionaires taking place so commonly over the last 4 years in Cambodia. All right, we have seen these are the kampong venture capitalists. If you can understand the word kampong, these people stay in kampong, but they became millionaire overnight, right? So there are a lot of rich people, a lot of affluent people in the overseas market, and reason why is because recently, over the last few years, the Chinese came and buy land, right? So they buy land from people that owns, and these are the locals, right? So there's a lot more Rolls Royce than Mercedes right now in Cambodia, right? If you have not been there, please make a trip down during reopening, right? And you can actually see it for yourself, right? So do you know of any mentorship or incubation program, all right, for the intended markets? If you do not know, you can let us know as well, all right? Because why do we say that we have markets in Cambodia, Vietnam, and Philippines, but not Indonesia, Thailand, Brunei, all these places? The reason is because we have an incubation program set in place, right? We provide mentorship, we provide training for you to really help you to grow to the next phase of your life in overseas, right? But however, we are in talks to set up in Indonesia, Brunei, Malaysia, as well as Thailand in the coming months, right? So once we have this program set up, we will officially declare that we are in all these markets. Otherwise, if we were to do some projects to help clients to enter the market through our methodology, we can still do so, even if it's not Cambodia, Vietnam, or Philippines, right? So how well do you know of any grants for your overseas expansion? Okay, we have processed about 170 grants in the last 4 years, all right, with 100% approval, right? We are able to share with you how to structure your grants into into your overseas plans, all right? And but one thing for sure is that we will follow what the government has set in place. If the government pays you 60% of 60% of that $1 you spend, we will like to actually stick that way as well, all right, to prevent any audit issues coming up, all right, for anybody. So have you considered any joint ventures in other overseas market? This is something that is interesting, is because some of the clients that we have brought in that is already in the market, they are very welcome to have more brands as well. So we could even team you up with those people that has already set up there as well. All right. If you prefer to work with Singaporeans, then we can structure or some things for both of you to come in together. All right, to set up and develop in that market. Right. So are you ready to start with these 5 phases? Right. These are questions that you will find in details in your playbook. Okay. Right. Very theoretical, but when you speak to me, I think it's very it will be more down to earth, right? Because I come from a down to earth background. I speak very down to earth, right? We will enjoy speaking together over coffee, right? So so in this picture that you see here, all right, it says that the first man gets the oyster and the second man gets the shell, right? So imagine coming up during the reopening, right? Be it Philippines, be it Vietnam, be it Cambodia, be it Indonesia, or anywhere that you want to go, right? We need to actually understand is that once the markets reopen, right? The Chinese, the Japanese, Taiwanese will be the first to flood that market, right? Okay. And so before they even flooded the market, right, you need to actually establish your first mover advantage at this moment, right? So we are currently advising some clients who is holding very nice brands from Singapore to enter into the Cambodian markets, right? One of them is my friend who is the CEO of Part1 Cambodia. So we're actually advising them what to do, how you get things done, right? And at the same time, we are also advising some building material brands from Singapore that has won awards, right? And I shared with them that, hey, do you know that the market right now is at a standstill? It's the best time to do something. It's the best time to build your brands. It's the best time to get the right people in your team, all right? And it's the best time to get the best location right now because everybody is closing down, right? So have a visionary outlook, right? It's not going to take forever, all right, for COVID to be recovered, all right? But once it's recovered, right, the growth of the market, the speed of the growth of the market will be even more intense, all right? So speaking on Cambodia basis, right, I'm expecting that after Cambodia reopens, all right, the growth of the market will go beyond the pre-COVID levels in a very short period of time of 1 year or 2 years. Okay, let me just ask you in another angle, right? Is that if tomorrow you can travel overseas, if tomorrow you are allowed to travel overseas without quarantine, all right, will you be going to your favorite country, Japan? All right, at all costs, you will, right? Because you've been stuck in Singapore for so long, all right? You'll be rushing to go out for your tour, for your travel, for your holidays, all right? Similarly, right, to anybody who is actually expanding to their business, right? The speed of growth will be so much faster because of the accumulated desire to be going overseas for so long right now, and at the same time with the interventions of digitalizations, right? So if you don't do now, right? If you do not take position right now, if you don't get yourself prepared to move to the next step, then you might miss out this moment of market corrections, all right? And when the market starts to open, when it swings up, all right, you want to swing up together with the market, and you do not want to be the laggards behind, all right? So that is actually something that I want to share very close to my heart, right? And thankfully, from this COVID situations that happens, we have successfully advise and get companies to move, right, for overseas expansions, right, in the last 6 to 7 months, right? So we hope you can be the next person to do something, right? Right. So we are here to help you, right? Our brand is Beastmaker. It's a extended brand from our brand called SCBI, all right? So we are here to help you to connect, accelerate, and to develop the markets. And at this moment, you can see that we are already in all these places, and we are really expanding at a very fast pace to all these places, right, through our consulting methodology, which put your benefits first, right? So we are looking to close even more projects coming up to help more companies to have their success story all over Asia, right? So, and okay, so these are the programs that we help you to develop. We have a partnership program, mentorship, and we also help you to develop a business as an outsourced business developer, right? So instead of you finding new person to help you to grow the business, you can tap onto our team, right, to help you to grow a business so that it become much faster and cheaper for you, right? So you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great, right? So should you start? Yes, I think you should start. Please get ready yourself, right? So yes, you should start yesterday. So if anybody want to save my V card, you can just put it here. All right, this PowerPoint is done very recent, right? So thanks to my team, CJ, and people from my Singapore team like May, Peggy, Esther, all right? And who has actually helped me to develop this. Yeah, thank you so much, everybody. Over to you, Glenn.
All right, thank you, Jason. I think we try to see whether we can keep this session interactive, and as well as there's anyone who has sort of question. Alan has posted something in the message. Alan, you want to sort of ask the question, verbalize it?
Okay, hi, good afternoon, everybody. So maybe just to help get the ball rolling as well. Well, I recall the early days when I met Jason. You know, we were you know, when we go to Cambodia, right? I think some of y'all who have been there as well, right? Nice place, riverside, you know, where you can have beer, places. You know, these are the sort of the regular hangout place, right? Of course, those were the pre-COVID days. So my question, David, sorry, my question, Jason, you know, maybe I know, well, I haven't been back Cambodia for, you know, slightly pre-COVID until now. So I think easily more than a year now. So, you know, and I read reports and, you know, people talk about COVID being a reset. You know, in fact, pre-COVID, the cost in Cambodia has gone up very high, right? The housing, the cost of living, and I think particularly the housing, a lot of construction work was going on. Chinese were going in, investing. And I'm sure now a lot of funds has been pulled out. So now, you know, people say COVID has placed a big reset to the whole Cambodian economy. So with that, maybe I know you answered some part of it, right? So maybe you can sort of elaborate a bit more for those who intends to, you know, sort of look at Cambodia market. Since you also talk about the first one to get go in will get the pearl. You know, so where are the oysters? You know, where are the new oysters now, right? You know, where to find them, and with the change, I'm sure, you know, like tourism industry may not be as attractive as before. I don't know about housing, you know. Are there some, you know, some immediate sector, you know, that you can recommend? And also maybe the second question, that if you can also link that to Vietnam, Philippines, I think you're also helping, you know, you've been to some of these markets, you know, you know, so we can, you know, have a sense of comparison and sort of, you know, get ourselves be in the know, you know, of the changes before the doors are all finally open. Thanks.
Thanks, Alan. Yes, always remember ourselves drinking along riverside, right? Eating the barbecue food on the streets, right? Yeah, that was so delicious. And when I think of that, wow, I became hungry again. Right. So, okay, why? Okay, I've been focusing a lot more on Cambodia. More is because of the Chinese factor, right? So we all know that the Chinese are the biggest investors in most of the countries in the world, but a special bond was actually developed between Cambodia and China, all right, for a long time, all right, and it became even closer in the last few years, all right, to the extent that the Chinese government mentioned to the world that they and Cambodia are inseparable, right? So okay, so why why do I say all this also about Cambodia is because, you know, I've been tracking on the vaccination drive throughout ASEAN. Okay, so I've been tracking on the reopening potentials, right? So the only countries that I feel that China will be reopened to will be Cambodia first, right? So that would be the first place of developments, first place of stronger investments coming in to boost out the whole nations, right? So a lot of potential in Cambodia, being that they are very young populations, baby booming era. 70% of the population right now are below the age of 35 years old. And below this 35 years old, half of them are below the age of 21 years old, right? So you can see that there is a lot of consumerism potential in these markets, right? Be it car, be it clothing, F&B, be it services, be it fashions, apartments, and a lot of other things, right? So so if you are into, let's say, a business on FMCG, all right, please come in, all right. If you're into the business of fashion, please come in, all right. If you're in the business of automobiles or any other things that people below the age of 35 years old will buy, please come in, all right. Otherwise, let's say if you are in the business of health, right, healthcare, do you know that currently we have quite a number of Singaporeans medical centers there as well, with Singapore nurses and doctors, right? So more and more are coming up in the recent years. So that is why I said that the first cherry to pick in ASEAN could be Cambodia first, right? Vietnam, I don't think we'll be able to go in so soon, just because the vaccination rate over there is actually at a very, very low percentage, right? So I do not believe that the market will be reopening sooner, all right, than Cambodia. So for anybody that wants to try out Cambodia first, that would be the easiest test for you, right? Easiest market to go in. In Philippines wise, I think as what Sunny has just said earlier, people are coming back, to work, and market is like reopening, right? So we are also tracking this with our Philippine office as well, right? So Philippine market is really good, all right? The buying power is better, right, than most other nations, right? So definitely it's also a place to expand your business to as well, right? Yeah, so in terms of the opportunities in all these three countries, I would say Cambodia is the better place right now in terms of the ease of entry. Yeah.
Right, thank you, Jason. Does anyone else have any other question? Oh, Corinne has something. Corinne is asking, maybe a very simple question. How many Singapore companies are there operating in Cambodia?
Okay. Okay. There's, if I'm not wrong, because I'm also belongs to the committee from Singapore Club, right, in Cambodia. I think there's close to about 300 to 500 companies, right, pre-COVID at the moment. Okay. So what type of businesses are they in, right? Okay. In Cambodia, the Singapore business they are in actually quite a few, right? So we are the leader in terms of the FMCG in Cambodia, right? We are also one of the leader in healthcare in Cambodia, and we have a lot of Singapore education brands in Cambodia, like Kinderland, all this type of brands that is in Cambodia as well. Even SIM is in Cambodia, right? And at the same time, there is also developers, mainboard listed companies from Singapore going in, like HLH, unlike what, building a mixed-use developments over 10,000 hectares, all right, was just announced yesterday, right? And there's a lot of developments, constructions, even Regal is in, right? A lot more in. And recently, another brand went in, is Propnex, right? So they went in as well, right? So if you ask me, I said that we are generally impacting in almost every industries that we are in at this moment throughout Cambodia. Yeah. So the key thing about which business to go in, I would say anything to do with the age group, right? This provides the biggest hints, right? Because these age groups are the biggest buyers of anything right now in the market. Yeah, below 35 years old. Thank you. Welcome.
Right. Does anyone have any other questions? Any thoughts? Any comments?
Maybe you can add in one question, Glenn.
Okay, sure, Marcus.
Okay, so Jason, this question for you, because I understand that Cambodia has a very young demographic. So how is the tech industry in Cambodia like? Besides being strong in FMCG, so how is the appetite and their savviness in terms of software technology in general?
Okay, in general, Cambodia is progressing very, very rapidly when it comes to tech, right? In fact, 2 years ago, they announced their 5G network, right? When it comes to their telco systems, much earlier than what Singapore has announced and implemented the 5G networks here locally, right? So if you are speaking about technology-wise, Foodpanda, Grab, all in and they're doing very well, right? Let's say if you're talking about Sansan, right? In the perspective of Sansan that is going into the market, one thing about Cambodia market is that there is a lot of business networking in play, we can get in touch with C-level people just by drinking coffee that easily. All right. So there's also a lot of business network events going around, and they love networking. All right. So it's like so if you have any technology that can supplement or complement to their lifestyles in nature, like how Food Panda and Grab is providing, you can actually take a position in the market, right? But one thing about pricing is Cambodia price, Indochina pricing cannot be the same as Singapore. Totally cannot be done, right? Otherwise, you can't get the market share, right? To expand further. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Jason. Thanks.
Right. Thank you, Marcus. And do we have any last question? Okay. If not, then I thought for those of you who are keen to find out more about what Jason does or to get his PowerPoint slides, you can actually scan the QR code online now and download his. Can you see my screen? Sorry, am I sharing it correctly? Jason, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see.
Okay, so this is the a QR code to go to a Cognito to our online form for you to fill out some information where you get an automated download link to get his deck, his playbook from Jason today. There's also an option for you to find out more a little bit about Brands for Good or Jason on the market entry opportunities into Cambodia or into Vietnam and Philippines. So for those of you who are keen, do help scan the QR code. I will also after this shortly, as we move forward, we're going into our sort of our breakout rooms networking. So I hope that you guys will sort of stay on. Perhaps maybe I'll take this chance to get Marcus to share a little bit about Sansan, which is also our Brands for Good sponsor and our networking sponsor. So Marcus.
Thanks, Glenn.
I'd like to share a little bit about, yeah.
Sure. Okay, so hi everyone. I think that was a very good sharing session by Jason. So we've been working with XCO Asia for quite some time already since the pandemic. So very happy to be here today. So let me just give everyone a brief overview of Sansan. So as you may know from the name, we are a Japanese company, and I think I see some familiar faces here as well. So some of you may hear this brief overview already. So, but nonetheless, let me just take everyone through a very rough overview of what we do. So we are a cloud-based centralized contact management solution and virtual card provider. So we've been around for more than 14 years, and our global customer base currently stands at more than 7,000 customers. So these are companies. So more than 7,000 global companies are actually using our software solution and services. So I think since the pandemic hit last year, we have really rolled out several new products and features to allow our customers to really leverage on technology to meet the business continuity plans and also their requirements, to network, to connect with each other better. And of course, when everybody can't really meet each other, one another physically, that's when you can use technology to really drive transformation and get the productivity level. I wouldn't say really get them up per se, but start to adapt to the new norm and use technology to start to get used to all this, like past few months of working and connecting to each other, and slowly over time you can adapt to this new norm and find our synergy with one another and work more productively and collaborate more remotely as well. So since then, we've pivoted our business to really offer virtual cards, like digital business cards, and also not only that, but digitizing invoices and automating manual finance processes as well. So if you can see from my top right-hand corner of the screen, you can see my QR code. I think almost like everyone has it now. So if you scan my QR code or Michelle's QR code, you can actually see my virtual card. And please feel free to connect with me as well on there. Yeah. So if you have any interest in finding out how your company can actually use technology to get the first step for actually connecting to more companies and really leveraging on digital business cards, please feel free to reach out to us, and let's see if we can set you up with a free trial. Yeah. Thanks, Glenn.
All right, thanks, Marcus. For those of you who are not on Sansan, which you probably most of you never heard before, I'm actually on Sansan, and it's what I really like about their technology is the fact that beyond just simply scanning cards and have 99.9% guarantee in terms of data integrity, they also do content enrichment, right? And you get news and information about your contacts from the data that's online. I love some of the features where we quickly can scroll through and search for name card visuals that were scanned years ago, and I can easily share that to our network as well. So it's a great tool for businesses, and it's also a great way to sort of uncover assets and your network on an ongoing basis, right? So okay, so now session is done. We are sort of going to a breakout rooms for open networking. Firas, are you there? Can you sort of split us up into our different spaces? Thank you all for joining us, and hope you stay on to meet some new friends. Firas, are you there? Oh dear.